myself again.
Good morning and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith and Holly Blades. How are you, Holly?
I'm really good, Steve. How are you?
Very good. Have you come back down to earth yet?
Not quite, not yet. I think it's going to take a while.
It's been a crazy week, and obviously today, I saw your tweet just to promote the show earlier on, and I think we'll probably spend most of our time talking about the week that was the takeover, which none of us really saw coming. It has to be said, and obviously taking your questions as we always do in the chat. Good morning to everybody there. First of all, Holly, I just want to say congratulations on your exclusive, and I know I had you on the Fab Four on Friday, but what made you go down to the hotel? I mean, were you like a moth to the flame? Were you just thinking, I've got to be down there and see if I can see Amanda and Mia, Dad, because you probably didn't believe what you were hearing in the news.
Pretty much, yeah. And also the fact that everyone was waiting for that announcement to go through, and of course most people were at St James's waiting to celebrate. And I just thought it would be fantastic if we did get the chance to bump into the new owners and kind of hear that news and then see them, which thankfully did end up happening. And I was really glad I made that decision in the end.
I mean, it was great to see Amanda come straight over to you, and she give you a cuddle and she said she watches the shows and I mean, that was great to hear. But I know personally, obviously my connection with Amanda, that, she spoke to me on the day of the protest, and she was over the moon that you'd traveled down as hundreds had to go to the Premier League, to go to Downing Street. And I think that really made an impression on both of them. That the fact that you stood up and were counted as countless other fans did with the guys from Protest NUFC, and I think that was really what touched her the most. That you were fighting for this takeover, which eventually we all got over the line.
Yeah, well, as a Newcastle fan, I think most of us wanted this takeover. I certainly did, because as a younger fan, I've only ever known Mike Ashley, and it felt like he would be here forever at times. And we saw the potential in this new consortium coming into the club, and we really felt as though they could transform the club basically from top to bottom, and we get our football club back. So it's something I definitely wanted to happen, and if I could make a difference in any way, then I was more than happy to do that, which led to me obviously playing part in the protest down in London. And I'm really glad that obviously Amanda and Mia, Dad, and the rest of the guys that are now owning the club were grateful about that. And of course, I think it's only right that the fans did that for the consortium, because they remain so loyal to Newcastle United for such a long period of time, and many wouldn't have.
I mean, what did you make of the first interview? I mean, obviously after you, Sky managed to get her sat down and in a room and chatted for 8 minutes about the takeover itself, the plans, the ambitions. What did you make of that first interview given by Amanda?
I thought it was fantastic. I think Amanda always speaks really well. Earlier on in the year, in July, when she spoke about the deal, I thought she spoke fantastically then. And again, on the day that it was announced, she did the same then. She definitely enthused about both the city, the fans, the football club, and really made us feel like, we were important, because for such a long period of time, you have people in positions, for example, you've got the likes of Steve Bruce, Mike Ashley. I know we don't want to talk about them, but they belittled the fans. They made us feel like we were small, we were irrelevant. But then these people came in, they constantly are reminding us about how important the football club is to them. And then, of course, talking about our ambitions for the club, 5 to 10 years, she expects to be challenging for the Premier League title. That is crazy to think about, to be honest, because that's beyond my wildest dreams. It's hard to even comprehend, but the fact that that's what she seriously thinks we're capable of doing is amazing, and I hope that does happen. And again, obviously she spoke about the likes of investing within the infrastructure of the club, the training ground, the youth academy, and investing in the women's team as well. I think that's great. Very positive female voice within football, and also she realises that it's not just about the players on the pitch, it's also a lot more than that, because the club is the heart of the community.
Yeah, I spoke to Lee Clark away from the YouTube platform, and he said it was akin to Sir John Hall coming in, and Sir John Hall wanting a team of Geordies, and Kevin Keegan then arriving as manager and saying that we're gonna first we're gonna get promoted, then we're gonna get into the Premier League, then we're gonna be competing for Europe, then we're gonna have a go at the title. And some people smirk and snigger and laugh at something like that, but But ultimately, what Lee Clark said was, when a player hears that, they almost grow an extra couple of feet, and they think, wow, some people are scratching their head going, you're mad. But it gives the players confidence. They suddenly feel as if they're 10 foot tall and can go that extra yard.
Yeah, definitely. I think it gives the players a boost. I think it'll give the staff a boost and also the fans. Maybe people think, it might sound a bit crazy, but I don't think it's too unrealistic, because it's not as if she's saying, I want to do it next season. 5 to 10 years is a decent amount of time to build. Of course, we need to be patient. It's not going to be an overnight process. Because basically the club needs a whole restructure from the very top to the bottom. There's a lot of disrepair that's been done there over the past 14 years. We're in a bad position in the league currently. We need to sort that out first. I think certainly in the first few years, we need to focus on getting stability where we're not floating in and around the relegation zone, mid-table, pushing into the top half, and then we can kick on from there. But I think our ambitions for the football club are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, of course, they went in yesterday to meet the staff. One person that I saw interviewed actually said that's the first time we've spoken to the owner of the football club in 14 years.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I think it was very clear and obvious that Mike Ashley didn't really communicate with anyone, to be honest, not just the general staff at the club, but he didn't really communicate with the manager, the players, or anyone. But yeah, to come in on day one, speak to all the staff is a really great thing. It makes a great impression. And again, it makes everyone feel like they're a part of something. It would have put a lot of minds at rest, because some people be worrying new owners in, what's the future going to hold? And the fact that they took the time out, communicated with everyone, I think that was a really positive move to make.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on the staff, I think what most people were expecting in that first couple of days of ownership was that we would see Steve Bruce out the door, we would see Lee Charnley out the door, and others. I think we will see a change in the manager's hot seat, and we'll come to that in a bit. But getting back to Lee Charnley and co, this is a typical professional business takeover of a football club. This is an opportunity, I guess, for the new owners to come in, to see people in various positions doing their jobs and making a decision as things move forward. So they probably have gone in there with the remit of saying to the likes of Lee Charnley and whoever else is there, carry on, do what you do. Because the last thing you want to do as potential new owners of a football club, is to go in and make wholesale changes and cause absolute chaos in the football club. So I guess for the time being, those people will probably remain in their jobs, Holly.
Yeah, and I think Newcastle fans need to just trust in the new owners that they're going to do what they think's right for the football club. Give them time. Some people's already started criticising the fact that Bruce hasn't been sacked yet, but they've only been here since Thursday night. You need to allow them time to look into situations, assess how people are doing in their jobs. And it has got to be a transition. You can't just do everything overnight, like I mentioned earlier. You need to obviously allow time because you can't just sack people and then have a skeleton of staff, have no one there. You need to make sure you have the right person in place ready to come in and replace these people if they do decide to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you see a skeleton staff, well, that's virtually what they have there anyway. But I mean, I get your point. I think going in and making wholesale changes is crazy. Let's get to the football side before we delve into the chat. I think the football side, we know we were there against Wolves. We stood together, me, you and your dad. We watched a horrendous game in the rain. Apathy spread across the terraces. What a game, really, I suppose. For Mike Ashley to go out on it, it probably summed up his tenure to a T, that game, didn't it?
Definitely. It was a very miserable day. I posted on my Twitter after just saying, rubbish football, 19th in the league, the only way is down, changes are needed. And thankfully those changes did come a week later, but I wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect it to happen so sudden. But yeah, it was a game, the crowd was flat for the first time in a long time. An away day atmosphere was totally dead. And I think people just really felt like there was no hope anymore. We were destined to go down because we haven't won a game yet this season. And there's, we couldn't see where the goals were going to come from. There was no ideas there from Graham Jones or Steve Bruce. There was nothing there. The set pieces were atrocious. The players were just deflated, and it really, really did look like a miserable time for Newcastle United. Like you said, summed up Ashley's tenure at the club, and the weather matched. It was a grim day down in Wolverhampton. But to think that it's a totally different story a week later is really hard to comprehend.
Yeah, it is really hard to comprehend. You're right, and I think the speed of the takeover, although it's took best part of 5 years really, but the speed of it this week is what surprised everybody. And I think that there is an optimism there. The questions coming in already, and the one which we expect straight away is from Tom Dixon, one of our regulars, and he says, "Do we expect Bruce to be sacked this week?" Holly, do you think Steve Bruce will go this week?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in the dugout for the Spurs game whatsoever. But I think you do need to, obviously, you can't just say you're gone. You need to obviously have a respectful conversation and have that discussion with them and allow them a little bit of time, to say his goodbye to the players and stuff, which I'm assuming is obviously why, they've taken a couple of days. And of course, they do have other priorities as well before they get onto the playing side of things. But yes, I do expect him to be gone before Spurs.
Yeah, me too. I think that, I think Graham Jones will probably be in the dugout at the weekend. They've got to get this appointment right. You can't rush into this. And I think that the media are reporting all these huge names, Conte, Mourinho. I've seen Gattuso mentioned, Gerrard, Brendan Rodgers. I mean, all of these managers, they've all got something about them. Some have been in the game a long time. Some of them, have only been in the game 5 minutes. They've all got big names in football. But ultimately, the appointment has to be the right one. And I got the impression, I got the feeling from what Amanda and Co said when they came in, and I've watched and read everything as you have. There's a plan here. And it's not a short-term plan. It's a long-term plan. They've got a plan for, the next 5-10 years, and there needs to be investment in the infrastructure. There needs to be investment in the training facilities. There needs to be investment in the ground itself. And as we all know, there needs to be major investment in the first team. All of that costs money. We know that we are, on paper, the richest team in the world with Saudi PIF's backing. But at the same time, we've got to be realistic here. If you go and bring in a Conte or a Mourinho, then you're going to be in a position where they will want big money in each transfer window. And I guess it depends on how much the conglomerate of people on the board are willing to spend. And it'll be a board decision. And I think they will know what they want to do. They'll have their financial plan set out. My mindset will be, and I've said it earlier there, that I feel Graham Jones will probably be in the dugout. I think Bruce will have gone. They've got to sort that out. They've got to pay him and his backroom staff a reported £8 or £9 million to leave the club, and then they've got to interview people and get it right, and that's the key. And bearing in mind that this takeover didn't go through until 5 o'clock on the day that they announced it. Yes, they may have ideas, they may have plans, but they won't have interviewed anybody. They won't have had somebody sat down. And of course, plan A was always Rafa Benitez. But that was 4.5 years ago. Rafa's got a job now. He won't be coming to Newcastle. And that's the big decision. They've got to make that decision, but they've got to get it right. And if it takes time, it takes time. But they've got to get the right man in. And do we expect Bruce to be sacked this week, Tom? I would say yes, because I think it'll keep the feel-good factor going. I think they've got the keys to the door now, but I think there'll be a feel-good factor, and I think it'll go on for some time. I think even if we lost at the weekend, I think people would be too intoxicated. They'll be in the moment. They'll just be delighted that Ashley's gone. People will be giving Daniel Levy some stick, I would imagine, at the weekend, because he seems to have been one who wanted this often when it happened. He's still complaining and bumping his gums now. But you know what? I think, people will give the new owners time. And I think the fact that they've already started communicating will be a big thing. And Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a big, big phrase which I've used many times on this show, and we've just got to give these people time, and we've got to give them support. But yeah, Holly, it's right, isn't it? The managerial job at Newcastle at times has looked like a poison chalice, but they've got to get that right. That's the first big decision, and it's got to be the right one.
Definitely, because it all starts with the manager on the pitch. The players rely a lot on how the manager's performing. We have a very similar squad of players as we did under Rafa Benitez. These players performed a lot better under Rafa Benitez than they did Steve Bruce. So if they get the manager right, then I think that's already setting things up for a very, very good start to the football club. And hopefully we can get ourselves out of the bottom three and start climbing the table sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. And it's all about the football team. Because if the football team is doing well and they're hedging their way up the table, get to January, get an FA Cup run, the football's doing well, everything else should fall into place. And that's as simple. It's the be all and end all. And it's no good being involved in a relegation battle because, things start to deteriorate and people tempers get frayed, people get angry and people lose concentration and the club's not a happy place. But just already seen in the chat somebody saying it's just nice to see people doing podcasts who are smiling again, which is very true, and that is all down to that. Graham, he says, I've seen my first Toon shirt in Riyadh on Thursday. It wasn't Al Walid, was it? Great stuff though, and we've got an extra 20,000 supporters out there, I think now, and I think I've probably had most of them added me on Twitter this week. Jeff says, Amanda said all right things, but surprised no mention of the pigeons. Yes, Jeff, I did notice that. It needs to be sorted out. Maybe they could coat them in gold and have them, on plinths or something as we approach the ground. Holly, you have been a wonderful ambassador for this club, says Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
And I would second that 100%. You have been, and long may it continue. Paul says, we are still in a relegation battle. It will be even harder until we get to the January window, as we are second bottom, as all these teams will want to beat us more now, which is a good point by Paul, isn't it, Holly?
Yeah, I think we'll certainly not be the most liked club in the Premier League now. Certainly there'll be a lot of bitter people out there and there'll be teams that want to try and prove a point and beat us. But all we've got to rely on is how we perform. And if we perform well, then we should win games.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we have got to come back down to earth at some point, and we've still got the same team at this moment in time, and we can't change that until January. And that's the point Alan Thompson is trying to make here by saying, Holly and Steve, watching Arsenal, Spurs and Man United podcasts, they're terrified of us now. It's got to be a major rebuild. And you're right, Alan, it is a major rebuild. It's 100% a major rebuild. And, people expecting Mbappe and Kane to walk through the door in January are going to be very, very depressed. Anybody expect Mourinho to be heading up the first team as manager? It's not going to happen. It's going to be a slow build. We've got to maintain a little bit of sensibility in this takeover. And I'm saying it's going to be an exciting ride, but we've just got to make sure that we, just be sensible. Don't expect too much. I saw a couple of people interviewed outside the ground. I'll put it on the night that everyone was celebrating. I'll put it down to lager and lots of it. There's some of the people saying some of the things on there, were over the top. And I've got to be honest, most Newcastle fans who go to the game would have been cringing at that, some of the stuff that was said. But look, yeah, it's exciting times. Let's be sensible, I guess. Let's just enjoy the moment as it is, but don't get too carried away. Colin says, daft as it sounds, it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see Jose come in to step into his mentor's shoes. Colin, I think it's a great idea, and I think a lot of people would be over the moon with it. But I think this is stage one. I think stage one will be short-term build for a long-term goal. That's my honest opinion. And Holly, I see you nodding there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I think that we need to have a plan in place for the next 3 to 5 years, and then after that, we can obviously push on for a longer term.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I bet you're happy, Steve. Newcastle will finally be a force to be reckoned with instead of being relegation candidates back to the Keegan era when they were good to watch. Yes, Graveyard, I am happy, but Keegan was great and fantastic to watch. However, it was built on sand, and when Keegan left, the whole lot collapsed. This is going to be built on foundations. It's going to be built on cement, concrete and steel, and I think Newcastle United will... The future is bright, 100%. And Saudis, and this has been said to me by fans in the street yesterday and in a couple of bars I went to, Saudis don't like being second. And that is true. So although I'm saying maintain that level of calm, if things started to go wrong, at least we know we've got somebody there who's going to put some money into it. And where that leads to, who knows? I do want to say as well, a lot of fans, I've had a few messages on social media. Again, it's people I met yesterday when I was out and about. I went to see the James Bond film with the missus on her belated birthday, took her out for something to eat, and then I went into town and caught up with one of my mates for a couple of hours. Tried to get it with 40th actually last night, but the trains were off. Got on a bus up to, I was supposed to be going to Morpeth. Only thought it was the one stop. I got off with everybody because everyone got off the bus. Couldn't see the sign. Got off. And where was I? I was in Cramlington. Couldn't get a taxi. 15 minutes drive from there. Couldn't get up there. So I ended up getting a bus back to Newcastle. Unbelievable. So my poor mate's 40th, I didn't get there. But anyway, that wasn't what I was going to talk about. It was a lot of fans who gave up a season ticket. Have messaged me, and I bumped into a couple yesterday, asking, can they have priority? Do you think we can have priority to get our season tickets back? I can't see how that could happen, Holly. I really don't. And other people saying, I gave it up. Could I at least get me points back for away games? I would imagine that the system that Newcastle's had probably deleted people's records if you haven't got your season ticket. I wouldn't imagine they'll keep people's data from years ago, probably against some kind of data protection. But I can see people's frustration because we are going to have a lot of people who probably bought season tickets now who had no intention of ever going to games, who now just want to come along for the ride. And it means that some supporters who were there and then decided to jack in because of Mike Ashley and the football that was being served up are now going to find themselves on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it's a very tough position to be in because there's a lot of people that walked away when Ashley in the early years when things started to go wrong, and then even more in the past few years once Rafa Benitez left the club. So sorry. So yeah, I can imagine the frustration of some fans out there. There's people in my family that's done the same. They cancelled their season tickets under Ashley and now they can't get back in. I went to the box office the other day to buy some away tickets, and she said, there's been a lot of people coming in for season tickets and we can't sell them at this point in the season. So I'd imagine there'd be a massive rush going into the new season. I hope those people can get tickets, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to get priority because, like you said, I'd imagine once they're cancelled and the payments stop, they'd just be wiped off the system.
If my memory serves us correctly, there's 42,000 season ticket holders usually. Obviously, that's diminished because of Ashley. I think on Wednesday, they were around about 33,000. But I gather that they were, selling like proverbial hotcakes over the last few days for obvious reasons. Now, they do have to have a percentage for the away fans, of course. And they also have to have a percentage of match-going tickets available. So I guess it's going to be a lot of each game for those people who don't have season tickets. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that a fans forum is valuable for. We don't have one. Newcastle United kicked it into touch. And this is where all supporters groups, and I mean all, not the regulated, democratically voted ones, but also the other fans groups. Anybody who wants to send somebody along should be able to go to a fans forum and have their say. It's something certainly that I think the club will look at. I think they will certainly take on board all fans' opinions, and that is a key. I think the simple thing to do is to, first of all, start communicating on a regular basis with season ticket holders because they have their details. They've got their emails. We know certain organisations within the fan base love to do a survey. Newcastle United could do surveys and find out direct from their customers what they are doing right and what they're doing wrong, what can be improved. And I think that would be a great way to start with a fan base, whether it's dead pigeons, whether it's not being able to get served at the bar, whether it's the pies are too hot, the pies are too cold, whether it's the lager's flat, the lager's is too fizzy, whatever it is that people want to complain about. I can't get an away ticket. I've always got bad sight, all these kind of things. When I was fan liaison officer, the kind of things that people were, bringing in, writing in every single day. But I think the club could tackle that. Are you happy with the match day program? Are you happy with the music that the club come out to? Whatever it is, you'd be surprised at things that people complain about. But just get an overall feel for how the fan base feel, and your season ticket holders are your first point of call. Then your membership, database, and I'm presuming, I can't remember because I'm a season ticket holder, I presume you are still a member. But memberships, and I think they're people who get like first refusal on tickets when they go on match day sale. So ultimately, those kind of avenues need to be explored. But then and then have a fans forum. Have a fans forum for people who are members of a group. So it might be a NUFC Matters podcast. If we want to go to send a representative up to the ground at one of these meetings, go. They've got the Bambra suite. There might only be 50, let's say, 50 groups, 50 fan groups. So that's 50 people, but you get one from each group, whether it's us, whether it's any of the other podcasts, whether it's any of the other fans groups. Get them along. War Flags, prime example, get them along and have a meeting, but have a meeting with people who are in power, not with John from the bloody, the ticket office, or, Bill who runs catering, or Steve who does the security, or Jimmy who does the match program. Have key people there. And it can be anybody. One person from the board could take a turn. The way that Amand Ramir there are, I'll be very surprised if they don't just say, well, we'll do it. But if you've got somebody on the board, get them there and get, and find out, come and talk to people. That's all we need. That's all we need. A bit of communication. It could be 3 to 4 times a year maximum, but those kind of avenues are worth exploring. And, I think, Holly, that would be a great idea.
Definitely. I think that's probably the priority for me, communication between both the fans and the owners, because that's something that's been, amiss for 14 years. And it's something which has damaged the club because our voices were never heard as fans. We were taken for granted far too often. So if they have a regular communication with various fans from different groups, different kind of sitting in different parts of the ground, even season ticket holders, I think that's a really, really good idea.
And the other thing I would do, I've just seen a message from Alan Curry, who started the very first Malta Mags group. Now, when I was fans liaison officer, and this is back in 2000, I contacted a lot of these groups from around the world. And I also think liaising with the fans groups around the world and saying to them, if you're coming over, we can help you. You know what I mean? So there might be 10 people from Malta Mags want to come to Newcastle United's game. Make them feel special. Do you know what I mean? Get them over here. Give them a tour of the ground. Maybe if it could be their first time, offer them the opportunity. Make them feel special. These people are making a pilgrimage to St. James's Park, but make them feel special. Little things like that go a long way. Of course, when I was working at the club, Freddie and Dougie weren't interested in that. Oh no, it costs money and this, that, and the other. And even offer them a group discount on tickets. You know what I mean? If they want tickets, they might not be able to get them, and just give them that. There might be a game where they can come to. Offer them the opportunity. Just say, look, we've got a cup game coming up. Cup games traditionally don't sell out. If you would like to come to the cup game, the FA Cup game, if it's a home game, this is what we can do for you. Do that. Offer people with a loyalty point something. It's just little things. Follow the Leicester way. Leicester have done so many positive things under their owners, and just a daft thing like offering everybody a pint and a pie or something in the first home game. It's just little things make a big difference to people and supporters. And I don't buy into this whole montage that, it's all about Sky's money, but it's essentially, the fans who still make football. And we saw that during COVID, didn't we, Holly? With no fans in, football wasn't as great a spectacle.
Not at all. And I think you saw teams performing very strangely because without the support there, some teams that usually have a big support were underperforming, and some teams that maybe aren't as well supported were performing better. So it did make a big impact on the game. Of course, Newcastle fans often get described as the 12th man on the pitch because when it's 90 minutes and we're drawn or something, we really get behind the side, and in extra time we sometimes go on to score that winner. They make a massive difference within the game, and fans are the heart of football.
B. Taylor says, I'm 66. Amanda and co have given me hope of seeing silver again at the Toon before I leave this mortal coil. I'm absolutely buzzing. I'd like to see Jose come in, says Dan. Paul says, War Flags are back too. Spurs game is a celebration, no matter what the result is exactly. Sean says, I can see eventually the stadium be rebuilt or remodelled. for 80 to 100,000. Yeah, look, it's a slow build, guys and girls, but ultimately, I agree. I think we're at the start of a wonderful journey here. Big shout out to Spider VPN, one of our main sponsors. For all your internet security, Google Spider VPN. They are the boys to trust. And skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. And to L&G Family Funeral Directors 01913 389 7245 and John at qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wales and Newcastle. Also thanks to Jab Signature for making our flyers. If you are a first-time visitor to the channel, please subscribe. 900 new subscribers this week. Thank you so much. Click on to Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner. It is free to watch this channel. All you need to do is subscribe and you'll get a reminder when we are going live. And at the moment, we are still doing 7 shows a week and a few added extras in celebration of Tyson Fury regaining the World Heavyweight title. I stuck up an audience with Tyson Fury with John Gibson, which was done a few years ago in Newcastle. Hit the thumb up under the video to like it, please. Click share to share to your social media. Drop into the comments to ask a question or to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. We're available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and other platforms. And don't forget, we have some big events coming up in Newcastle over the month of October and November. Evening with Gavin Peacock, 29th of October at the Tyneside Irish Centre, is followed by an evening with Supermac and John Gibson on the 19th of November, our belated Christmas evening. Tickets for that one are £12 at the Irish Centre. And an evening with Peter Beardsley, 26th of November. Again, tickets £15 for that. All tickets available from newcastlelegends.com. And you just need to click shop and you can pay for the tickets on there. A couple of other events at other venues. A night with Rob Lee on the 28th of October. Tickets for that one are from laurelswhitley.co.uk. Ticket ranges from £15 to £35. And a food bank talk-in with me and Supermac at Bobix. Tickets for that are bobix.com. You can still make donations to the food bank at the NUFC fans foodbank.co.uk and go into the raffle for that lovely watch. And don't forget as well, we do have a website, nufcmatters.com, where you can buy an arrangement of t-shirts, mugs, you name it, on there. And Christmas is coming. You might want to surprise somebody. Don't forget as well, Peter Beardsley Soccer School, Monday the 25th to the 29th of October. It's at Kingston Park, 10 o'clock till 4. Tickets for this to get your child on the course are £15 a day or £60 for the full week. All coaches, of course, FA qualified and DBS checked. Please email pbsoccerschools@hotmail.com. That's pbsoccerschools@hotmail.com. Christmas ideas as well. Peter Beardsley will be on at the Tyne Theatre with Mick Lowe's next year. You can pick up some great tickets on there as a gift for somebody on a voucher or on Groupon. That event is sponsored by Spider VPN. I've also, with Halloween coming up, written a kids book, The Ghost That Could Not Scare. And Alfie Joey from Radio Newcastle has done the fantastic artwork. You can buy that on the Newcastle Legends website for £12, and we're making a £2 donation to the food bank off that as well. And the Dog and Parrot, Supermac, will be live for free pre-match next Sunday, so get along to see him. He will be with Joe Allen next Sunday. I will, of course, be doing Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank before I head up to the ground. And don't forget, Liam Kennedy, Newcastle World. You watch our Tuesday night show, Newcastle World. Give them a follow on Twitter. You'll be able to find their website on there. If you want any information on Newcastle United, they are the site to go to with Liam Kennedy. And I've got to plug my book, otherwise I'll get wrong off the publisher. Every Boy's Dream is available on Amazon. That is my life story. 37 years supporting Newcastle, not a trophy in sight. Some interesting games, some interesting people, some very interesting stories. If you're looking for something to read, it's available on Kindle and it's available on Amazon. So please have a look at that, and I hope you enjoy it over the Christmas period, if you get one. Graham Coleman says, the new owners have a major rebuilding job at Newcastle, and this will take time. We'll be happy to be about 7th to 8th for the next 3 to 4 years. That's what I was saying before, isn't it, Holly? Realism.
Yeah, definitely. We can't get ahead of ourselves. People saying sign Mbappe and stuff. I know that'll be just the initial buzz of the whole news going through, but yeah, we really do need to keep our expectations lowered for the time being.
Peter says, question for Stephen Holly. We'll give it to you, Holly. What is a realistic league finish next season after a full transfer window? Hopefully, if we stay up.
I'll say between 8th and 10th.
8th and 10th, yeah, I would say that is reasonable. I mean, look, it's a major rebuilding job. We need to bring in players in a variety of areas. Let's just see what happens in this game of the weekend. There'll be a major bounce from the players. The dressing room will be wild, I would imagine, with what. And I think if Bruce goes, I think there'll be an added incentive for the players to impress. They'll want to impress a new man coming in. And Newcastle aren't bad. The Watford game the week before, we should have won. We're not getting the rub of the green at times, but at the same time, we're so light up front because Callum Wilson's missing at the moment. But he should be back on the weekend, and I think the momentum will carry us through. But realistically, I think Holly's right. I think anything between 8th and 10th would be realistic next season, 100%. Chris says, morning. Any plans to go back on Talkstore to even give Simon some stick? Chris, I haven't been invited back on. I'm not sure why, but I might drop a message to Jim White later and see if he fancies getting us on with Simon. Gary says, morning, Stephen Ollie. What do you two think about starting a campaign to get Sir Keith Patterson some kind of recognition? Good or bad idea? Gary, I think there's been a lot of people involved in this. Keith will wholeheartedly admit that he, has been a big part of it as well by, setting up NCL and going for the CAT case. It's been a hell of a lot of people. And I've probably been guilty myself of not mentioning a few others. Mike Ashley out. I mentioned this yesterday with Mick Lowes. Mike Ashley out campaign, the protest NUFC people who organised the trip to London, which Holly, Holly handed the letter in, etc. There has been lots of people try Ashley out campaign. So there has been others who've been involved. To pick out one, Gary, if you want my honest opinion, I think would be a bit unfair. Keith deserves a pat on the back like everybody else, and I think he'll wholeheartedly admit that it wasn't a one-man expedition. I love Keith to bits, but I think, picking out one person for recognition, all it's going to do is drive people up the wall as well. You know what I mean? Be a whole host of abuse coming from various quarters. So I would say no, is my honest opinion. Holly, I'm not sure how you feel.
I think Keith certainly made a big impact in getting the deal over the line. Of course, his CAT case was important. We didn't actually have to fight the CAT case in the end, but I think that is ultimately the reason why the sale went through as quickly as it did. I think he did play a big part, but like you said, I think many people played a part in their own way, and even just day-to-day fans who don't really do podcasts or interviews or anything like that. I think everyone's made their difference. We've all voiced our frustrations over the years and supported the team.
Yeah, Graveyards of Chelsea fans says, let's face it, you need a whole revamp, clear out Joe Linton and that those who haven't delivered for the price tags. And Newcastle need to sack the coaching team, and in January need to go on a spending spree, and they will finish in the top 10. He says, we can't have Tuchel though. Who would you have as manager? We've been through this before, but now that we've got a takeover, this question has a little bit more pressure, Holly.
It's a really, really hard question, I think, because obviously it's going to have to be someone that's available and ready to come in, because we need them in pretty quickly. You can't have Graham Jones in the dugout for a long period of time, in my opinion. And again, we can't go out for a big name. I've always said my dream manager is Rafa, but it's not going to happen. We need to set our sights elsewhere. But honestly, I don't know. I would have to honestly think about it. I couldn't give you an answer.
Yeah, it's so difficult. It is so difficult. I mean, we all know who our dream managers would be, but at the end of the day, it's not going to happen at this moment in time. I don't think it's going to be it's going to be a long process. That's for certain. Shada says, Tomb for Change have tweeted numerous job opportunities are being made available to apply for at the ground. Another positive for us to look at. Yeah, these people will do it properly. Shadas, these people will 100%. do it properly, and that's all you can ask. Keith Patterson should be 100% recognised, should get his own box in my eyes. He should never have to pay to watch Newcastle again. And what man, thank you for all your hard work and everyone else. Chris, I just feel, and I think Keith will say this on Friday night show, that he will appreciate there was a lot more than just him involved. And yes, he went public and he did that, but ultimately, I understand people's sentiments, but we move on now. Keith's happy with what he's got, what he's done. He didn't do it for recognition. He did it for the football club. He did it for fans. And he did it for himself because he's a supporter himself. So I understand the sentiment. Then 4 or 5 years max they'll be controlling the Premiership, says Graveyard. I'm not sure about that. Skeleton staff and equals 2 pigeons, says Jeff.
Yeah, the pigeons definitely need to be addressed.
Sean says, I'm a season ticket holder for 30 years and continue to go through the 2 relegations. Got the discount. It would be nice if our loyalty would be recognised with the new owners. Again, you risk isolating and insulting people, I guess, if you do that. Like, that is the hard part about, doing all of these kind of things. It really is difficult. I think recognising support as a whole is right. Don't start to pick out individual groups of people. But yeah, I know again where you're coming from, Sean. Hi, Steve. I went to the Modfather clothing yesterday, went over to Mayfair for a quick pick. Us fans are obsessed. Hope you're well, Dave. I really admire Newcastle since Owen used to play. Great team and great history. Also a very beautiful city. I visited Newcastle once back in 2011 and I loved it. Great people and great city. Thanks for that. Al and Gary says, thanks, Matters team. Great shows this week on the takeover. The emotion was incredible. Watching from Down Under, and you have kept me informed. Thanks, mate. And it's a global thing, isn't it? It's around the world. Everybody is amazed really at what's happened.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the fan base will certainly build a lot more worldwide, especially in Saudi Arabia, which I'm really looking forward to seeing, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Wolves F1. I'm not sure if you're a Wolves fan. Presume you are. How much do you think Newcastle can fulfill weekly? The stadium, well, it'll be full. We've already seen it. I've already heard from people who can't get season tickets. And I think it will be full again, back to 52,000 as it used to be, week in, week out. And it's going to need some kind of addition, I think, if the team starts to reach its potential. Colin says, I'd love it if they flew a helicopter into the ground for the Tottenham game with Amanda, KK and Big Al on board. That would be a bit special. Yes, I'm still drunk. Michael says, looking forward to the atmosphere next Sunday and also how the players react to the situation. Thomas says, could I ask Amanda to get Phil Foden because I know his agent? Thomas, I think Man City might have something to say about that, certainly at the moment, but you never say never in the future. Alan says, I came over 2 or 3 times a year, Steve. I'm back for Spurs, but in the Gallagher, toon. Good news, Alan. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Chris says, we're going to see Newcastle have more games shown live on Sky and BT as we're going to become one of Sky's cash cows. Well, of course, that is a bonus, I guess, for those who can't get tickets. Geordie Toonvalley says, we've got to make Newcastle a people's club, get the fans feel wanted, and it can only work out for the better. You're nodding away there, Holly. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's the priority, just making sure that the fans feel recognised within the football club.
Yeah, Alan agrees with me. He says, spot on, Steve, mate. The fans groups like Andre from Bulgaria and around the world. Yeah, I mean, these people are in groups of 10, 15, 20, and, ultimately all around the world. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to make these people feel special and give them the opportunities. Andre's coming over for the Chelsea game, but you should be greeting people like that and helping them. And if there's one person who's going to be the organizer, give them a free ticket, maybe. But it's all about that kind of PR is positive and fans will grow and your worldwide brand grows if you treat people with that little bit of respect. Blue Moon Boy, how important are the Saudi state here? If national relations were to sour between the UK and Saudi Arabia, would that be bad news for the club, Holly?
I don't think so, really, because again, it's kind of bringing political things into the football club. And for me, I think all the politics between various countries shouldn't really come into play with the football club. They should just, the owners should be focused on investing in the football club, and then the fans should be obviously supporting the football club and getting behind that, and any other issues I think needs to kind of stay out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the politics question keeps getting raised time and time and time again on the media, but ultimately it's the same answer from Newcastle fans, and it's not that we're stupid. We know what the situation is, but it's nothing to do with our football club, I'm afraid, at this moment in time. It's about the takeover, it's about football, and most of us just are concentrating on that. Although we sympathise 100% with what's happened, but you could point to many issues with many countries, including our own, about things that they've done, and that is got absolutely nothing to do with football. And this is about sport, it's about football, and that's it. And that's our stance, certainly on this platform, 100%. Samantha says, in Newcastle's history, we've had 3 different owners who have success: Stan Seymour Senior, Sir John Hall, and I didn't get the rest of it, Samantha, but yeah, I get your point. I mean, it's hopefully PIF and Amanda and Mirdad and the Rubens. That's what we're hoping for. I agree. It's going to be an exciting time. Can you remember our first season in the Premiership under Keegan? Get the right manager in, and who knows? Yeah, Colin, you're right. Depends who you get in, and you know, Holly, that is what I said right at the top of the programme. It's the most important decision so far, isn't it? They've got to get the right man in the job.
Yeah, it is, because the manager is ultimately the person that kind of decides the football club's future on the pitch. And if you get the right manager in and he transforms things, then everything else will fall into place.
Yep, Lee says, this is a great time to be a Newcastle fan. Had to laugh, though. I joked about Ashley's next move, and it looks like I was right. No escaping him here in Derby. Yeah, I mean, what do you make of that? The rumours mill is in overdrive that Mike Ashley is set to buy Derby County.
It's not something that I expected. I thought after Newcastle, Mike Ashley be done with football. I certainly hope that it's not true, because I wouldn't wish Mike Ashley on anyone, not even my biggest rival, Sunderland, to be honest, because I think Mike Ashley is just, I've got no words for him. He's toxic, he's poisonous, and he's got nothing to do. He shouldn't have anything to do with football. He doesn't understand the game. He doesn't understand what it means to people, and he needs to stay as far away from it as possible. So I hope for Derby's sake that it isn't true.
Yeah, John Poole says, do you think the club will put flags or mosaics on the seat for next week versus Spurs, similar to what Leicester do on the chairman's birthday? Who knows, mate? Who knows what they've got planned? Either way, I'm sure it will be exciting. Belly says, could the club do digital season tickets for people who can't get tickets? Again, another good idea. What we have to remember is when people buy football clubs, they don't buy them to lose money. They're buying them to make money. And I think the fact that there's more than one head around this table at St James's Park now, making these kind of decisions, and they're all very successful. Amanda and Mirdad, Jamie and PIF are all successful in their own rights. I think there will be lots of new things happening over the course of time, and I think that is a massive positive, and it will make money for the club, but it'll also be good for the fans, and that's all you need to hear, really, I guess. Holly wasn't even born when we lost 2 FA Cup finals back to back. She must have some dad. I mean, I guess. Dave does get credit for introducing Newcastle. I guess, but it's it's been a misery for you really over your short time supporting Newcastle. But now, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, no, and I'm certainly not going to complain, because I'm still like very young, so I'll get to witness the whole kind of journey basically, and hopefully lots of success follows. But yeah, growing up, it has been a mess. My granddad and my dad played a big part of me getting interested in the football club, but I have enjoyed my time supporting the club regardless of how rubbish it's been. I've always looked forward to going to games, and that won't change. And if this takeover didn't happen, I still would have been there anyway, but of course now I'm a lot more happy to be there than I would have been previously.
Yeah, Jamie says, Holly, off the pitch, what would you like to be seen changed in the next 5 years?
5 years, certainly renovations to the stadium. I wouldn't expect a stadium expansion within 5 years. I think that'll probably take a little bit longer because it is a hard situation. I wouldn't want to see us move locations and then you would have to renovate St James's Park, but then you're thinking where we're going to play in the meantime, because the only stadium that's near is obviously the Stadium of Light, and you couldn't really do that because that would be an absolute nightmare for the police and stuff like that. Also, the academy, I think, needs to be a priority. Amanda's mentioned that. I think it's a fantastic idea, producing more local talent. Of course, that's going to work out better for them in the long term, because that'll save them a lot of money rather than constantly splashing out on big name players that we've brought from abroad or from other clubs. make our own talent. I'd love to see another Alan Shearer, another Paul Gascoigne, another Peter Beardsley. It would be fantastic to see. Of course, relationship with the fans to improve. I think that's already improved within a couple of days, but that's something that definitely needs to be built on. The women's team, I think, is a great idea. Certainly the likes of merchandise, the club shop and things like that, I think should be a priority, because it hasn't really been the best for quite a while. I think that's something that's quite important. And obviously the training ground and the facilities massively need to be improved, because they look like lower end championship facilities. So that definitely needs to be a pulling factor, especially if you're trying to target big name players in the future to come in. They go to the training ground in Benton and you just think, oh my God, where on earth am I at?
Yeah, and that's a big pull for players as well. When you're going out to buy players in January, they want to know what the facilities are like. And people talk in football. And at the moment, and I know we've got a few new Saudi viewers, we've gone to the state of having a paddling pool there for people to go in, and what we call wheelie bins in the UK. So bins where you would normally put your rubbish in have been used as ice baths. So that's how bad it's been. In fact, we'll have to dig out those pictures at some point. Stephen says, I see Sports Direct still on the website. Wonder how long we need to have this for. Hopefully not agreed at the end of the season. I've got no answer on that, Stephen, although I would be very surprised if Mike Ashley has not got some kind of clause in the contract to stipulate that it has to go at the end of the season. It'll be something like that, no doubt about it. Chris says, you can guarantee any player we try to be the agents will be licking their lips. Suddenly an extra 30% added because of the wealth. But when you have 320 billion, who cares? We can buy who we want. Bring it on. The terraced housing was bought late last year by a Middle Eastern company. Any chance it could be used for future stadium expansion, protected housing, but built into the infrastructure? I presume you're talking about the university behind the East Stand. There was plans to develop that when I was at the club in 2000. I was shown the plans by David Stonehouse, who was the chief executive at the time. It is a listed building, and the cost in 2000, so that's 21 years ago, was the equivalent of building a new stadium, to actually knock the East Stand down, to build a new East Stand, and to incorporate the listed building within the design, which is what you have to do because it would have been listed. It was cheaper to build a new stadium, basically. So that's why it never happened. The obvious alteration that can be made is to the Gallagher end. Now, we know that the Strawberry Place development has gone ahead. We know that the land behind Strawberry Place has been sold, but nothing's happening there yet. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. I think regardless of whether that land is developed on or not, I do believe that the stand can still be built on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they can still have an extra 7,000 seats built on the Gallagher, which of course will give us a very lopsided ground with the East Stand completely out of date and obviously with less seats in than all three stands surrounding it. But it would still give us that option of at least getting an extra 7,000 supporters in, taking us close to 60,000, and solve the problem which they're going to have, which is getting people into the ground again, which we haven't had for a while. Graham says, hi Stephen, Ollie just had lunch, KFC in Kingdom Tower, Riyadh, multiple large displays saying deal complete, lots of interest amongst the locals. It's great to hear. And I mean, I've noticed on social media, I've probably attracted an extra 2,000 followers on Twitter over the course of the last week. Certainly we've pulled in an extra 900 subscribers to the channel, and we welcome everybody from Saudi who has started to tune in. That for me says it all. There is an interest. Again, we need to build the relationships up with the Saudi people. We need the football club needs to have a base in Saudi, because they need to hopefully bring over people from Saudi to come and watch the games. It would be great to welcome people here. I know there's a lot of people study in Newcastle anyway. Many Saudis have studied in Newcastle at the universities, etc. And great to interact the two cultures. It's time to move on from the past, concentrate on the future. And the future is green and white and black and white. That's for certain. Dean Hendry says, I've worked in all three of the training grounds in the Northeast, and we certainly have the worst. Boroughs was very good. That's interesting to hear. Dean, thanks for that. Scott says, Bobby Clark's the best English player in his age group, and we've lost him like we're a small club. we were a small club. It's just a pity that Bobby had to put his future first, and that's the way it goes. 2-hour show, Steve. The first hour's gone so quick. I'm going for a drink today, Colin. I'm going for a drink with me mates who I grew up with from the Felon. So I won't be doing a 2-hour show, and I need to get some scran down my neck at 12:30. So unfortunately not, mate, but great that you've asked anyway. The Smith says the club need to recognise former players who've made us proud to be Newcastle fans. I feel in recent years they've been forgotten. It would be nice to have a better connection with former Magpies. Watch this space, the Smiths. That's all I'm saying. Watch this space. And why not lower the pitch so they can get more people in instead of building upwards, says Graham. It's an interesting theory. I'm not sure whether that's possible or not. I'm not sure whether it is. But, yeah, I guess they'll be looking at all these kind of things, Holly, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine they're looking at a lot of situations. The way St James's is, it's a very difficult project to work on, which is why I think it'll take some time. But we'll certainly need a bigger stadium because you can imagine people will be coming back in their numbers from Newcastle, people who's obviously left and now want to return, but then also we'll probably have fans travelling in from other, from the likes of Saudi Arabia and from other countries as well now. We'll finish up with John. Jones in charge till Christmas. Conte in charge in January with a few signings. Shearer Bar returns with his statue outside. King Kev statue by the players' entrance and the pigeons laid to rest. Sounds good. Fantastic. As always, great show. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Sorry we never got everybody's comments. Tomorrow is my day off, as you know. The 5-minute, can we call it a rant anymore? There'll always be something to rant about. I'm sure there will be, but tomorrow it'll be it'll be a 5-minute celebration tomorrow, I think. So I might get a new flyer design for that anyway. But yeah, Pete and Chris will be on tomorrow. I'm sure waxing lyrical about the takeover, giving you their views. Don't forget as well, you can catch them on Loaded, which is another YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to Loaded Mag, please do. Good bunch of lads, and they're often on this show on a regular basis. Holly, as always, great to speak to you and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. You too. Bye. Head back with the critics of time.